You guys will never believe what happened. I'm a freelance photographer in this artsy riverfront city, chasing my dream of capturing moments that matter. And there's this guy, Victor, a family friend and retired art curator with this refined, magnetic vibe. Think salt and pepper hair, wise eyes, and a voice that could narrate an art gallery tour. He's moving away tomorrow, and last night I stopped by our favorite cafe for one last coffee together. What started as a quick goodbye turned into the longest, most intense farewell of my life. Want to know how it played out? Keep watching, because this story is all about final moments and sparks that burn brighter than a river at dusk. Like and subscribe for more. Chloe's life in the lively riverfront city of Rivermere was a kaleidoscope of light and color. Each day, a new shot in her quest to become her loft apartment in the artsy Mill District was her creative haven, filled with camera gear, photo prints tacked to exposed brick walls, and the faint scent of developer chemicals mingling with river air drifting through open windows. Her latest photo series, A Candid of a Café at Twilight, reflected her daring energy, its contrasts bold and vivid, much like her own desires. But lately, her lens kept focusing on Victor, a family friend who'd known her since she was a kid, whose magnetic presence had shifted in her mind as she stepped into adulthood, becoming a distraction she couldn't ignore. At 58, Victor was a retired art curator with a refined charm that had caught her eye in a new way over the past year. His salt and pepper hair was neatly combed. His wise hazel eyes carried the weight of years spent curating galleries, and his hands, steady from years of hanging art, moved with a gentle precision. His "good to see you, Chloe," at their occasional coffee meets, paired with a warm smile, made her heart skip. She'd told herself it was nothing, just fondness for a man who'd always been kind, a mentor who'd encouraged her photography since she was a teen. But her dangerous desires, always simmering beneath the surface, pushed her to test the boundaries, and tonight, with Victor leaving town tomorrow, those desires refused to let go. It was late, the cafe in the Mill District, quiet except for the soft hum of jazz. The riverfront city outside glowing with string lights reflecting on the water. Chloe had arranged to meet Victor at their favorite spot, the Riverside Brew, for one last coffee before he moved to a new city for a quieter life. She wore a simple sweater and jeans, her camera slung over her shoulder, her heart heavy with the weight of goodbye. Victor was already there, seated at their usual corner table, his coat draped over the chair, his eyes lighting up when he saw her. "Chloe," he said, his voice a low, warm rumble. "You didn't have to come out this late." She slid into the seat across from him, her heart pounding. "Couldn't let you leave without a proper send-off," she said, her voice light but charged, her hazel eyes catching his in the cafe's dim glow. "One last coffee, right?" He nodded, his smile bittersweet. One last coffee. The cafe hummed softly, the air heavy with the scent of espresso and the weight of finality. Their conversation started light, his new city, her latest photo shoots but turned personal. Chloe sharing her dreams of a solo gallery show. Victor confessing his nerves about starting over. The minutes stretched, their words weaving a connection that felt too big for a goodbye. Every glance, every pause carried more weight than the last, the cafe charged with an energy neither expected. Chloe's dangerous desires stirred, her heart pounding as she leaned closer across the table. "You're really leaving me with no one to argue about photo composition with," she teased, her voice soft but daring, her eyes locked on his. He chuckled, his fingers brushing the rim of his coffee cup, his smile warm but tinged with something deeper. "We'll find someone. But I'll miss those arguments, Chloe, more than you know." The moment simmered, heavy with the unspoken, like the river flowing outside. The next morning, Chloe woke in her loft, Victor's voice lingering in her mind, her dreams tangled with the memory of the cafe, the way his eyes had held hers in the soft light. She shook it off, blaming her impulsiveness. But her thoughts kept drifting to him as she headed to a local gallery to drop off prints. Work was busy, editing photos between errands, but every time her phone buzzed, she hoped it was him. Around noon, a text came through. Last night's coffee? Kept me up thinking. You're something else, Chloe. V. Her heart skipped, and she smiled, typing back. Just making sure you don't forget me. One more coffee before you go. His reply was quick. Can't say no to that. Meet me at the gallery at 3? I owe you for making this goodbye harder than I expected. Her pulse raced and she hesitated, her fingers hovering over the keys. She should let him go, keep things simple, but her dangerous desires urged her to chase the spark she'd felt last night. You're on. Bring your best art story. That afternoon, Victor walked into the gallery, a catalog from an old exhibit tucked under his arm, his grin disarming as he found her by a photo display. Thought I'd bring a story. As requested, he said, passing her the catalog, his fingers brushing hers, the contacts sending a spark up her arm. Chloe took the catalog, her cheeks flushing as she admired its cover. You're spoiling me, she teased, leaning closer, the gallery's soft lighting casting shadows around them. First, late-night coffee, now your old exhibits. What's next? He shrugged, his hazel eyes twinkling. Maybe I'm just trying to keep up with the photographer who's stealing the show. You're making waves, Chloe. Her heart raced, and they talked. The gallery's hum fading as their conversation flowed, her photo projects, his years curating art, the way their cafe goodbye had shifted something between them. The tension was a constant undercurrent, every shared laugh and glance adding to it. Chloe's mind wandered to the way the cafe had felt alive last night, the way his presence had warmed her, and she wondered how far she could push these dangerous desires before he left. Your trouble, he said, his voice low, leaning closer to point out a detail in a photo, his shoulder brushing hers. One last coffee, and you're already making it hard to leave. She grinned, her heart pounding. Good kind of trouble, I hope. His smile was slow, knowing, a spark of mischief in his eyes. The best kind. They lingered in the gallery, the catalog between them, and Chloe found herself opening up more than she'd planned, her fears about her photos not resonating, her excitement about her future, her dreams of capturing the world's stories. Victor listened, his eyes steady, his presence grounding her like a perfectly curated exhibit. You've got something special, he said, his voice sincere, his gaze unwavering. Your photos, they're bold, like you. Don't let those doubts hold you back. The world needs your vision. Her heart swelled, caught off guard by his encouragement, the warmth in his words wrapping around her like a soft frame. Thanks, she said, her voice soft. That means a lot. The next day, Chloe's nerves were electric as she prepared for an art studio tour Victor was giving at a local coop, one last stop before his move. She'd volunteered to take photos, curious about his world, and wore a simple top and jeans, her camera slung over her shoulder. When she arrived, Victor was setting up easels, his hazel eyes lighting up when he saw her. Glad you made it, he said, handing her a stack of flyers, his fingers grazing hers. Didn't expect you to squeeze this in before I go. She grinned, adjusting her camera. Gotta make sure you leave with a good shot. The tour was lively, artists and locals mingling under soft lights, Victor's voice warm and steady as he explained the coop's history. Chloe watched him, mesmerized by the way his hands moved, confident and precise, like an artist with stories instead of a brush. When he helped her adjust a tripod, his hand brushing hers, her heart skipped, the contact electric. You're a natural, he said, his voice low, his eyes catching hers. Got an artist's touch even with setups. Thanks, she said, her cheeks flushing, their faces close. You're not bad at this, though you're terrible at keeping your distance. He laughed, stepping back, his eyes twinkling. Maybe I don't want to keep my distance. Her breath caught, the air charged with unspoken possibility. Careful, Victor, she teased, her heart pounding. You're leaving tomorrow. I might take that personally. His smile was slow, knowing. Maybe I want you to. The tour stretched into the afternoon, and Chloe lingered, helping Victor clean up. They talked about her photos, his favorite exhibits, the way their city felt like a living canvas. Every glance, every brush of their hands as they packed up added to the tension. A tightrope. She was eager to walk. Over the next few hours, Victor became a constant in Chloe's thoughts, his departure looming like a storm cloud. He'd stop by her shoots with extra art books for inspiration, his grin betraying the excuse. They'd text late into the evening, sharing snippets of their lives, Victor's stories of curating iconic exhibits, Chloe's dreams of a solo gallery show, her photos taking on a new vibrancy inspired by their connection. Each interaction was laced with flirty tension, a push and pull that left her dizzy, knowing time was running out. That afternoon, Victor invited her to a local bookstore to browse photography books, claiming he needed her eye for a farewell gift to himself. Thought you'd like the vibe, he said over the phone, his voice warm, and I'd like your company one last time. She agreed, her heart fluttering as she chose a dress and sneakers, her camera in her bag for inspiration. The bookstore was cozy, shelves packed with books, the air filled with the scent of paper and river air. Victor was at her side, his presence steady, his stories of art openings making her laugh as they wandered the aisles. They shared a laugh over a quirky photo book, their shoulders brushing as they reached for it, the contact electric. You're good at this, she said, her voice teasing as they paused by a shelf of photography books, making a bookstore feel like a gallery. He grinned, picking up a book and flipping through it. Takes one to know one. You're not exactly boring, Chloe. She laughed, nudging him playfully. Gotta make your last day memorable. His eyes twinkled, and he handed her the book to browse, their fingers brushing, the moment stretching as the bookstore faded away, leaving just the two of them. This one's bold like you, he said, his voice low, his smile warm. Her cheeks flushed, and she smiled, her heart racing with her daring streak. She wanted to lean closer, to push the boundaries further, but she held back, savoring the spark, knowing it was their final day. That evening, Victor invited her to his apartment for a private photography critique, claiming he wanted her input on his personal collection before he packed it up. Chloe hesitated, her heart racing at the idea of being alone with him one last time. The memory of their café goodbye still vivid, but her curiosity won out. As she stepped into his apartment, the scent of old books and cedar enveloped her. The space, a curated mix of art and mementos under soft lamplight. Hey guys, Chloe said, her voice bright but with a playful edge, as if speaking to her imaginary audience, her eyes glinting with mischief. We're about to get into this spicy portion of the story, so please don't forget to like and subscribe. She grinned, setting her camera on its table, the air already buzzing with anticipation as she turned to Victor, her heart pounding with her dangerous desires. They stood by his desk, a stack of photos between them, and talked her latest photo series, his art collection, the way their cafe moment had sparked something new. The apartment felt alive, the memory of her bold move lingering like the scent of ink in the air. Chloe, he said, his voice low, leaning forward, his eyes steady. I'm not just here for the photos or the coffee. You know that, right? Her heart stuttered, her breath catching, the memory of the cafe flashing in her mind. I suspected. He reached out, his fingers brushing her wrist, light but deliberate, the contact sending a shiver through her. Good, because I'm not good at pretending I don't want something. And I want to know you. Really? Know you. She swallowed, her voice unsteady, her heart pounding with the thrill of her dangerous desires. Your trouble, Victor. Maybe, he said, his thumb tracing a slow circle on her wrist, the touch sparking something new. But you're not letting me go. One last night and you're already breaking all the rules. She laughed, a shaky sound, and leaned into the moment, the heat of his touch igniting a fire in her heart. Maybe I like breaking them, she said, her voice playful but honest, her eyes locked on his. He smiled, his eyes twinkling with a mix of amusement and something deeper. Good, because I'm starting to like it too. The hours before Victor's departure felt like a photo frozen in time, each moment with him adding depth to Chloe's story. Her freelance work was busy, but he was a constant distraction, his leaving looming in her thoughts like a half-developed shot. He'd started leaving notes with his books, small handwritten things tucked into pages. Found a piece today that reminded me of you. Too bold for my collection, V. Or bet I can guess your favorite photo style by tonight. Kint. It's not landscapes. V. Each note made her smile, her heart race, her daring streak growing with every interaction. Her friend Mia noticed, cornering her at the café during a break. Victor, huh? She said, her tone teasing but cautious, her eyes narrowing. He's got you all flustered, and he's leaving. Be careful, Chloe. And I'm just saying goodbye, Chloe said, but the words felt hollow. Her mind replaying the warmth of his apartment, the spark of his touch. She wasn't sure what she was doing, only that Victor made her feel alive, like a subject stepping into a perfectly framed shot. That night they met for a quiet evening walk along the riverfront, Victor claiming he needed one last view of the city. Thought you'd like the inspiration, he said, his voice warm. And I'd like your company one last time. She agreed, wearing a jacket and jeans, her hair loose, the riverfront glowing with string lights and the sound of water. The air was filled with the scent of damp stone and coffee, the city's charm vibrant. Victor was at her side, his coat brushing her arm, his stories of art world adventures making her laugh as they passed a glowing bridge. You're good at this, she said, her voice teasing as they paused by the river, making a walk feel like a gallery opening. He grinned, his eyes catching the string lights. Takes one to know one. You're not exactly boring, Chloe. She laughed, nudging him playfully. Gotta make your last night memorable. They stood by the river, their shoulders brushing as they watched the water, the tension a constant undercurrent. Chloe's heart raced, her daring streak urging her to lean closer, but she held back, savoring the spark, knowing it was their final moment. That night, they met for a late-night coffee run at a 24-hour diner near the riverfront, the city quiet around them. The diner was all neon lights and retro booths, the air filled with the scent of fries and coffee. They sat across from each other, sharing a plate of fries, Victor's presence steady, his stories of quirky art collectors painting vivid pictures in her mind. But the tension was a constant undercurrent, every shared laugh and glance adding to it, the memory of their café goodbye lingering like an undeveloped frame. You're different, he said, his voice low, leaning forward, his elbow brushing hers on the table. One last coffee, and you've got this. Steyr. It's hard to leave. Her cheeks flushed, and she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, her heart pounding. Good. I don't want you to forget me. His laugh was low, warm, his eyes twinkling with a mix of amusement and something deeper. Not a chance. They lingered in the diner, the fries growing cold. And Chloe opened up more than she'd planned, her fears about her photos not leaving a mark, her excitement about her future, her dreams of capturing the world's stories. Victor listened, his eyes steady, his presence grounding her like a well-curated exhibit. You've got something special, he said, his voice sincere, his gaze unwavering. Your photos, they're bold, like you. Don't let those doubts hold you back. The world needs your vision. Her heart swelled, and she smiled, caught off guard by his encouragement, the warmth in his words wrapping around her like a soft frame. Thanks, she said, her voice soft. That means a lot. They walked back to her loft, the night air cool, the city's rhythm soothing. At her front door, Chloe turned to face him, her keys dangling, her heart pounding. The memory of their café goodbye, the bold move that had started this spark, flashed in her mind, and the tension between them felt stronger than ever. You're making it really hard to say goodbye, she said, her voice a mix of teasing and truth, her hazel eyes locked on his. Victor stepped closer, his hand resting on the doorframe above her, his body close enough to feel his warmth, his presence steady but electric. Goodbyes are overrated, he said, his voice low, rich, carrying the weight of their shared moments. What do you want, Chloe? Her mouth went dry, her heart racing with the thrill of her dangerous desires. What did she want? Closure, simplicity, the life she knew? Or this him, the thrill, the fire he ignited in her heart, even if just for one more moment? I don't know, she whispered, but her eyes lingered on his lips, betraying her. The memory of their café moment, a quiet pulse in the back of her mind. He smiled, slow and knowing, his hazel eyes warm but intense. You do, and I'm not leaving until you say it. She laughed, a shaky sound, and stepped back into her doorway, clutching her bag like a shield, her heart pounding with the possibilities of her desires. Good night, Victor, she said, her voice soft but charged with unspoken promise, the spark beam brighter than the river lights outside. His laugh was warm, promising, his eyes locked on hers as he leaned back. Good night, Chloe. But this isn't over. She closed the door, her heart racing, the memory of the cafe, their goodbye. His touch lingering like a photo she couldn't develop. As she leaned against the door, she smiled, her heart ablaze with the thrill of what they'd shared. Knowing her dangerous desires had made this goodbye the longest, most unforgettable moment of her life. One bold,